It's another Monday edition of Snowman in the Morning Plus, and you are live with myself. And of course, I can't do this alone. Drew Willingham is with me. Good morning, Drew. How are you?
Hey, good morning, brother. Thank you again for having me on. I'm looking forward to another jam-packed show with you.
Well, let me thank Cole Johnson for taking the reins this morning because body didn't feel right. Just needed a little more rest, and the wife was ill, so I made sure she was okay. But we got this. And we're going to start with the WWF and the return of one Bray Wyatt. Surprise, surprise.
For those of you that were watching that live event, the Extreme Rules live event, man, and when that door popped up, and right before that, when he started singing, he's got the whole world in his hands. It just the White Rabbit and everything that's been going on with the weeks leading up to this show. They definitely pulled it off great because at the end of the match, you know how they pull up that little banner that shows the little copyright WWE 2022 thing, and then they cut it. Well, they started fooling us because it popped up like you thought the show was over, and then boom, it goes black, and he starts singing, and it was great. So for fans waiting a year and a half, like myself, for Bray Wyatt to come back, he is back, and you should be excited for Monday Night Raw tonight because I hope he's there.
Absolutely. Yeah, Victor Locke is with us, and he says, I want them to do a whole lot more with Bray than before. I agree with that because they misused Bray. They really misused him before. And now that he is back, and now that they pulled off the return, like you said, there's a lot that can be done with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, definitely different creative this go around, which is probably a big leading factor to why he came back and probably what took him so long to get back. With the way they tried to burn the character and the writing was on the wall when that all happened right before that WrestleMania moment, with Randy Orton and then the whole Alexa Bliss thing. Now we get to see his full creativity because he's going to have more of a grasp on this character at this point more than ever. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what culminates with this character now.
I'm really looking forward to it as well. And I'm really looking forward to see what they really do with them, if they can really, really get it right, because there have been a couple of characters lately. And I'll go ahead and say it. Since the F became the E, there have been quite a few characters that they really didn't get right. And one of the tag teams that they really didn't get right was the Dudley Boys. When they first said get the F out, and Vince McMahon bent the knee and changed the WWF to the WWE, and I'm not afraid to say it. When they made that change, it just seems like everything went downhill. Am I wrong in that aspect? As a fan, am I wrong in saying that? I mean, what?
For the World Wildlife Fund, Snowman, everything changed with what we knew as wrestling for decades because of the World Wildlife Fund and I love animals, but you could have picked a different name and you could have let the WWF have their thing. However, they haven't skipped a beat. They've still been doing okay, but the shirt like I'm rocking today, All Elite Wrestling, that's another topic for another episode.
That's another topic. That's another topic for another show. Victor Locke with this. Dudley's got done wrong after that moment. So did the whole company, to be perfectly honest. The whole company got done wrong after that moment. So we're going to talk some more wrestling, and we're going to have a whole show dedicated to wrestling. So let's take a minute-long break. And when we come back, we'll go through week 5 of the NFL, and we got some breaking news. All that in 60 seconds. This is Snowman in the Morning Plus.
Hey everybody, Snowman here, and thanks for listening to this episode of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Want to tell you about a little thing we like to call Monkey Knife Fight. Wait, what? What in the world is that, you may ask? Well, Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy site where you can play your favorite games, support your favorite players, and make money at the same time. And right now, if you go to monkeyknifefight.com and use the code Snowman, you will get a 100% deposit match on up to $100 on your initial deposit. Go to monkeyknifefight.com and use the code Snowman for an up to 100% deposit on your first deposit of up to $100. Thanks, and tell them Snowman sent you.
Back here on the Plus with Drew Willingham, Snowman here with you. And we got some breaking news. We just got it before we came on. Matt Rule is gone from Carolina. And as Jay Spivey has said, and I have said, and Drew has said in the chat quite a few times, he should have never been hired in the first place.
Nope. And it goes to show that lone win that they had against the Saints, a few weeks back. And we got some question marks that could be arising to that team potentially for that. But Matt Rule 1-4 as a head coach this season and lost to the 49ers pretty decisively. Your team yesterday, 37-15. You waxed that rear end, Snowman.
Man,
that is wild.
That run game, I tried to tell people that run game of the 49ers is something else. And as much as Cowboy fans love getting in my face about their defense, the best defense is in San Francisco, not Dallas.
Absolutely. The 49ers now 3-2 starting up the season, with everything going on with the whole Jimmy G situation and everything. It's just, I'm glad they've got a positive record now going into this week 6 contest this upcoming week. But 37-15, definitely a big win for you guys, a huge loss for the Panthers and for Matt Rule, who's now out as a head coach in the Carolina Panthers team.
Let's go to Minnesota. The Vikings and the Bears. The Vikings let the Bears hang around for far too long. Kirk Cousins got the job done. But there's one play that I want to touch on, and Victor touched on it with me when we talked. I know you're trying to get extra yards, and I know you're trying to get your team within field goal range. And again, I go back to getting extra yards. But why'd you stay in bounds, risking a strip at the same time? Why'd you do that?
It was a horrible call. It was just like some things we could talk about with the Commander situation when you compare and contrast certain situations, certain calls. With that, I mean, the whole dynamic of the game changes with that mistake.
Indeed. F. Holiday, good morning to you. In case y'all are wondering, you can support via Cash App. And also there's a new Patreon for the SDM Sports Radio Network. I'll have that up tomorrow during the main show. Latina and Callie also gave us a drop on Cash App. Thank you very much. But
shout out to Latina and Callie, by the way.
Yes.
Because last week I battled the sea. Okay. Battled the sea. And her situation where she suggested to me to get the elderberry syrup. It was a great pickup, and I feel great. So thank you, Latina and Callie. Shout out from me to you.
Good, man. That was something, and I knew you were feeling better. I knew you were feeling better because we messaged each other over the course of the weekend. More NFL Week 5 stuff. Mentioned the 49ers win. Mentioned the Vikings barely beating the Bears, and I do stress the word barely. The Giants beat the fake MVP in London, and the Giants are 4-1 on the year. And I picked the Giants. When we did our picks on Friday, I picked the Giants because I knew Aaron Rodgers and young receivers would not be able to click in the final seconds. And the Giants knew what was going to happen on 4th down. It was 4th and 2. It was about a minute left. And Aaron Rodgers touched his right shoulder. Dead giveaway that he was going to the right. And the Giants were ready for it and batted the pass down. What's wrong with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
Devontae Adams isn't there. That was a secret weapon. That's big. Even though Alan Lazard has stepped up pretty well in his absence, I got to say, as stepping into the number 1 leading receiver role, he's been averaging about 100 yards a game, it seems like, throughout the first 5 weeks. However, Aaron Rodgers dead giving it, like you said, with the body language, touching the right shoulder, you already know what's going on when he's doing that. So without having your secret weapon and you're still trying to figure things out, it's going to be a rough season for Aaron Rodgers. There will not be a 3rd straight MVP like a lot of people were clamoring for during the offseason. And I was one of them. I will actually, honestly, I'll be the one who was saying it during the offseason. I was sticking my neck out there saying that he's going to prove it by spreading the ball around. And what has he done? He is not been as bad as Russell Wilson, Snowman,
Oh
but
God.
he still has been not as great as he was the past 2 seasons with the back-to-back MVPs.
I mean,
Fraudulent.
let's go to Denver. That game on Thursday night sent my wife to bed at halftime, where she just absolutely crashed. Me, I'm here in my office listening to the call from Matt Taylor, and I'm working on getting Matt Taylor on the show for Colts preview this week. What the hell was that? That's the only question I have. My wife even asked me that question when I told her the Colts won, and like I said, she fell asleep before on Thursday night. She looked me in the eye and said, "What the hell was that?" And so I'm posing to you, what the hell was that Thursday night game in Denver?
Snowman, Matt Ryan is definitely not living up to the hype that he's had during this offseason. These two teams, these two quarterbacks had so much hype around them because both of these teams were one quarterback away. You pick up Russell Wilson in Denver, you pay him. You pick up Matt Ryan a lot cheaper than you picked up Russell Wilson. However, when you put them both together, they still played horrible. Matt Ryan, 251 passing yards on 41 attempts, completed
41 passes.
26 of them he completed, but he threw 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. And the rushing game wasn't much better with Deion Jackson and Phillip Lindsay. Deion Jackson barely getting 62 yards, and Lindsay proving why Denver didn't want him with only 40 yards on 11 carries. Horrible, horrible team ball. It's not all just Russell Wilson. However, that final play where he just throws it right at Gilmore and gives him the game. He threw it at Gilmore twice. And when you do that, and you give them away, those 2 interceptions right there were more costly to the game for the Broncos than what Matt Ryan's 2 interceptions were. So they both equally played horrible, but Matt Ryan at least wasn't as horrible as Russell Wilson was it really counted.
Did Wilson turn into Pete Carroll from Super Bowl 49 because he telegraphed his last 2 passes of the ball game? He telegraphed it.
And you got to think now, when you really think about it, Russell Wilson was the one who threw that pass. So
yes.
In the Super Bowl, it wasn't Pete Carroll. Even though it was Pete Carroll's call, he still executed it and didn't execute it. Whatever the exact opposite word of that is, I can't think of right now. Definitely was the exact opposite of execution in the Super Bowl and last Thursday.
It wasn't the excellence of execution, I'll tell you that. Let's go to Buffalo. Let's go to Rich Stadium. And yes, I still call it Rich Stadium. Josh Allen, 400 yards, 340 in the first half. And you knew it was going to be a long game for the Pittsburgh Steelers when on 3rd and 10 from the 2-yard line, Josh Allen dropped back into the end zone and unleashed a long pass, which Gabe Davis caught and turned into a 98-yard touchdown. As soon as I saw that play, I said game over.
Absolutely. 38-3, that final score in Buffalo. Definitely a huge, huge victory for Josh Allen. And when I was seeing that halftime stat yesterday when at FedEx Field for the Commanders game, and I saw that, I was like, wow, he's definitely already earned MVP in the first 5 weeks of the season. I'm mad at myself for picking Aaron Rodgers during the offseason, saying he's going to win 3 straight MVPs, because knowing what Josh Allen was going to prove this season, and how he came out in that first game against the Rams, he has played exactly what video game statistics are for human-like abilities this season.
Yep, he sure has. Let's go to Washington. Let's go to FedEx Field. The Titans escaped the Redskins 21-17. What more could the Redskins have done to snatch that game from the Titans? Because in all honesty, the Titans had no business winning that game.
Not catching a little bit of Russell Wilson-itis, because that's exactly what it looked like when Carson Wentz threw that pass right there on the 1-yard line to the other team in double coverage. And it's like he got asked at the end of the game pretty much, and it was pretty much along this lines of, what were you thinking when you were throwing that pass? Yeah. It wasn't exactly that, but that's what they were asking him pretty much, and he said he saw an opening there, and he tried to force it in there to the receiver, to J.D. McKissic, and it didn't really work out too well because he threw it right to the other team. And it's exactly what Russell Wilson did with Gilmore. And then when you think about all that and put it into perspective, Carson Wentz actually played a hell of a game throughout the game yesterday. I actually got to give him credit.
He did.
It wasn't until that one lone mistake. He had one turnover. Even though he fumbled the ball 3 times in that game yesterday, he needs to hold on the ball. He recovered all 3 of those fumbles. But that lone turnover was what cost him, and it happened to be at the very end of the game, the one of the worst times to ever have a turnover.
Let's go to Inglewood, California. Let's go to Los Angeles. And the Cowboys pummeled the Rams. That defense, I feel sorry for the Rams in a way because you face the two most physical defenses back-to-back weeks. You go to Santa Clara and you get pummeled on Monday Night Football. You come back home, and then the Cowboys pummel you defensively. What is wrong with the Rams right now?
It's definitely a huge question mark that we've been wondering throughout this entirety of the season since that first game against Buffalo. Cooper Rush, undefeated, the backup quarterback, a sensation there for Cowboys. And you got to wonder, do you start Cooper Rush this upcoming week against the Philadelphia Eagles? And that's what I'm thinking because, take the Rams out of the equation. Let's talk about the Cowboys here, and this is coming from a Redskins, Commanders, football team fan, okay? Cowboys should consider keeping Cooper Rush as their starting quarterback because he has been lighting it up ever since taking over for Dak Prescott.
Well, Victor has this comment. Passes on the 1-yard line make very little sense to me. Just put the ball in the back's hands and push your line forward. That's what I always thought, and that's what I always saw growing up. If you're on the 1-yard line, your offensive line can get you a yard more often than not.
Yes.
It's like if you can't get a yard on the ground, then what are you doing on the offensive line? One of my favorite running backs of all time is the great John Riggins, and he had the Hogs in front of him. And my favorite play of John Riggins was Super Bowl 17. It was 4th and 1, and Joe Gibbs called a timeout. And the Dolphins called a timeout. Don Shula called a timeout. Because when the Redskins kept their offense on the field, you already know what was going to happen. Number 44 was going to get the ball. And not only did he get the first down, he got the touchdown, which basically sealed the game for the Redskins and sealed the game and sealed the MVP for John Riggins. Victor Locke, I asked this question on Snowman in the Morning. Do you think the Rams no longer have that hunger since they won the Super Bowl? I'll answer that for you. They don't. Take a look at them. Take a look at them. Ryan McCarthy with this. It makes as much sense as lining up on 4th and short. God, how many times have we seen that just in the past 2 years? Just in the past 2 years, we see quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, lining up in the shotgun on 4th and short. And then you see offenses running a toss play on 4th and short. That's disaster waiting to happen.
I mean, the excuse all year long so far, or at least the first month, has been he's running a different offense. But I don't think you can be – you're looking like Curtis Painter of the Indianapolis Colts when he took over Peyton Manning when he was having that neck injury.
Yeah.
There was a neck surgery. You're looking like Curtis Painter right now. That's a horrible contrast to have because you're a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I should not be comparing you to Curtis Painter.
No, you really shouldn't. Let's go to Arizona. Everybody else in the NFC West lost. The Seahawks lost in New Orleans. The Rams lost at home to the Cowboys. And then there's the curious case of Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. They come back from 14-0 down. Even the game at 17 had 3 different shots to win that game. But that Eagles defense stood tall, and Jalen Hurts got them the winning points.
It was definitely a big win for Jalen Hurts in his young career, going against Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray gets a huge contract and leaves the baseball aspirations, comes to the Cardinals. And this is a game that you should expect the Cardinals to win. They've been making the
Yeah.
moves during the offseason, especially for the offense. But you know that Howie Roseman, and I was talking about it on my show during the offseason as well. He made some big moves for the Eagles as well. So
Yes, you
this
did.
was a huge contest for both teams. Very close contest, a very good one at 20-17 overall score. I think it was probably one of the better games of the weekend. Wasn't a blowout. It was what you expect of level competition by both sides of the ball. Just happens to be that the Eagles took it out over the Cardinals, and it's a big win for the Eagles, a big loss for the Cardinals as well.
And I think that, excuse me, and I think that loss will send the Cardinals on a spiral because that's a game they should have had. Speaking of the game of the weekend, let's go to Baltimore and Justin freaking Tucker. I mean, we've seen I've seen kickers like Kevin Butler, Ray Wersching, Raphael Septien, but Justin Tucker, my goodness, pulls it out for the Ravens in a great game against the Bengals, 19-17. Lamar Jackson, I will say this. Lamar Jackson is making a liar out of me. 19 of 32, 174 yards. He threw a touchdown and a pick. But the play that kind of made me smile about Lamar Jackson was on the final drive of the game when on a 3rd and 2, he kept the ball and got them a first down. And they were able to run the clock all the way down. And then Justin Tucker comes on and does what he's supposed to do and kicks him on to victory.
Justin Tucker's going to go down as one of the best kickers in history when he's done. I mean, we've been spoiled. We saw Adam Vinatieri.
Yes.
And then before that, and then, you know, just when you think that you can't get much better than that because of all the great kicker, Ray Guy, you know, the punter, and all these different, and George Blanda, who was a great kicker and a quarterback. You know, we've had great kickers. Vinatieri, in my opinion, was the best. But I tell you what, Justin Tucker is making his case. To be, because and Sebastian Janikowski had a great leg to kick 60-yard field goals while drinking a keg of beer. It seems like on the sidelines, and not.
It doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, it seems like he was getting hammered on the sideline kicking field goals.
But if you remember the movie The Replacements, that's what Janikowski reminded me of. That in The Replacements, the kicker smoked, and Janikowski just seemed like he was drinking beer.
Yeah,
and he come on. Okay, this is 60 yards. I can handle this.
And you know, you see Vinatieri and you see these other great kickers before, and it's like we just think, I mean, now we're just going to be seeing average kickers, but these other great kickers set the tone for the next generation, and Justin Tucker's definitely running with it, and he's definitely going to be a top 3 kicker when he's done. I don't know if he'll be the best because of those other ones I mentioned. And like I said, we've been spoiled, it seems like now, especially up to this point. But he's definitely going to be in the top 3 when he decides to hang up his cleats at the end of his career.
Absolutely. One more to look at before break. The New York Jets blow out the Miami Dolphins and ended a 12-game losing streak versus the AFC East. Not only did they blow out the Dolphins, they hung 40 points. They hung 40 points on the Miami Dolphins. Is this the beginning of a rise for the Jets and the end for the Dolphins as they're minus Tua?
You know, it's hard to see a team lose their franchise quarterback because, especially when you know you've got so much invested into them, that's when you see 3 touchdown deficits, and that's definitely what we saw, 3+ touchdown deficit in this game. Now, we didn't expect to see it with the Jets, Snowman. With the Jets, you know, a team that we've been talking about a lot of turmoil, especially over the past decade and throughout their entire franchise history for the most part. You don't see this type of victory. We see probably at least a 3 to 7 point touchdown. I mean, 3 to 7 point win for them, but not a 3 touchdown. Definitely is huge loss for the Dolphins because with Tua being gone, and we don't know how long he's going to be gone because of the severity of his injury. Teddy Bridgewater's not the answer at quarterback. And it goes to show that there were a lot more question marks within this team besides Tua if you're going to lose by 3 touchdowns to the Jets.
Says a lot. Says a lot right there. Victor Locke with this. I'd like to report animal abuse on the Jets, and Dolphins are an endangered species. I think the Dolphins season is finished. No Tua, no organization. I mean, you pick up Raheem Mostert, Salvon Ahmed to try to shore up that running game. But where was that running game yesterday when they needed it? And plus, Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out with a concussion on the first drive of the game. So what are they gonna do? How are they gonna solve this problem? That's our look at week 5. Take a short break, and when we come back, the New York Mets ought to be ashamed of themselves. This is where I give Drew Willingham the floor when y'all get back.
Hey everybody, Snowman here. I have a way for you to support our humble little morning show and support your favorite team and or player at the same time. All you have to do is go to officialsitmorn.com/fanatics. That's right, officialsitmorn.com/fanatics. With the NFL on the way, as well as Major League Baseball heading into its playoff stage, you can support your favorite player and or team, and you can also support this morning show, as Fanatics is an affiliate sponsor of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Just head on over to officialsitmorn.com/fanatics and you can support your favorite team and or player. Fanatics, where sports fans shop. And when you go there, tell them Snowman sent you. Thanks.
This portion of Snowman in the Morning Plus presented by Fanatics, where sports fans shop. And Fanatics is an affiliate sponsor of Snowman in the Morning and Snowman in the Morning Plus. And speaking of which, I haven't played this yet.
'Cause we take this job so serious.
What in the all types of blue hell?
Yes, it's Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
I had to get that in there. This is where Drew Willingham takes the floor, and the Mets, 101 wins, and they get beat down. They beat their 2 best pitchers, the Padres did, including Max Scherzer. Drew, the floor is yours.
You got 1 hit yesterday, New York Mets. Shut out 6-0. This is terrible. This is terrible when you think about this team and how much money they've invested, and you're trying to make silent negotiations in the dark from what it seems like to try to bring in Aaron Judge during this offseason. Well, after how you just played, there is no way, no how you're going to be bringing Aaron Judge in here, especially after he hit those 62 home runs. He is staying in New York, but as a Yankee. When you played the San Diego Padres, a team that is missing their shortstop because he was using some type of cream for a rash or whatnot, he wants to say. You're missing that in a team that we've been going hard on over the past 2 months ever since he tested positive for steroids and has been out. When you think about all that and you put everything into perspective, the Padres shouldn't be here. The Padres shouldn't have even won a game against you. You should have swept them like the Seattle Mariners just swept in this first round of the playoffs. Definitely huge for the Mariners, which I'll get to that in a second. But with the New York Mets, the amount of money you've invested in this team, the pitching, your offense, and you've made all of these moves, and you get beat by the Padres, who were missing their guy who was just on the cover of MLB The Show last year and who's been out because of what I just said as far as him testing positive. When you put all that in perspective, even though they brought in Josh Bell and Soto right around the trade deadline from Washington, and they've done what they've done without Fernando Tatis Jr., and you think about all this, they still shouldn't be here, in my opinion, and the Mets should be going on to face the next round, and they should be facing a team, in my opinion, in the Dodgers that, is definitely number 1 team in the National League, and especially since picking up my guy Freddie from my team right here, the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have to face the Phillies now, as the Phillies definitely upset the Cardinals this past weekend. And when we think about all that, with Albert Pujols and his legendary season that he had, Winnie the Pujols and Yadi Molina, now their careers are over. Now the Phillies are on to the next round, and we've got 3 teams from the NL East that made the playoffs. However, there are 2 still in it, but not the 2 that we thought, the Braves and the Mets. It's going to be the Braves and the Phillies that go on now to the division series, and it is a huge slap in the mouth for the New York Mets to have this happen to them and their fan base, who has endured a lot too. We will not get that Subway Series we've been hearing throughout this season, Snowman. We've been hearing a Subway Series 2022 this year, and we're not going to get it because of mismanagement. And I can't even put it all on Buck Showalter because he's been a great coach, and he gets a bad rap in certain areas that I feel like it should be more accountable for the front office and not him. He should not be taking any fault for this whatsoever.
I'll tell you another reason why we're not going to get a Subway Series, because it's eventually, in my opinion, going to come down to the Yankees and the Astros, and the Yankees have yet to solve the Astros. They've had 2 different shots at them, and they haven't solved them yet. But I look at the series the series that interests me is Seattle and Houston. You got the wildest of the wild cards in the Seattle Mariners, and then you got the big bad Astros, who I've said since 2020 are a professional hitting ball club. And I made my apology to the Astros, but you got some people that won't let go of what happened to Houston. And they're like, they should not be allowed to look. The Houston Astros are a professional hitting ball club, and ever since they got zapped for cheating, they served their time. They served their punishment. Dusty Baker was laughed at when he took over the role of manager for the Houston Astros. All Dusty Baker has done is win division titles, and he's the manager of the defending American League champions. Really? He got beat by a better team in the World Series in the Atlanta Braves. Okay? In 6 games. I can accept that. What I can't accept are people that still say the Astros should be zapped again and the Astros should have an asterisk next to their name. Have they not proven enough? Have they not proven that we don't need the trash cans after all? I mean, it makes you question why they needed them in the first place. Yeah.
I wish Dusty Baker would have won that World Series with the Astros when they won, because it's a shame. He did win one as a player, but he deserves one as a manager.
This may be the one. This may be the year, because if they get by Seattle, and I expect that may go the distance. That division series may go the distance, because Seattle is no joke. Seattle is absolutely no joke. If they get by Seattle, forget it. Doesn't matter who they're facing from the other series. And I hope the Cleveland Indians get spanked by the New York Yankees. I don't want it to go no more than 4 games. Why? I have a particular hatred for the Cleveland, because they're a division opponent. I got a particular hatred for the Cleveland Indians. And speaking of hatred, we got one more subject before we get out of here. I've had so many people. You all know the incident that happened between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole. Draymond Green owned up to what happened. But what people don't realize is that the Warriors got pissed about the right thing. And that is, how did the video get leaked to TMZ in the first place? And now it's forcing the Warriors to do damage control, which they are doing very well. And now it's forcing a lot of speculation. Even with something I read just a moment ago, Stephen A. Smith seems to think this is the last go-round with Draymond Green with the Warriors. I don't think so. I don't think this is the last one. Listen, I am not an athlete. I have not been in basketball practices. I viewed them as a broadcaster and as a broadcaster only. Things get heated in practice. When you're the defending world champions, people are coming after you. And with the Lakers beating the Warriors last night by 3 in San Francisco, the Bron sexuals are off the charts. The Faker fans are off the charts. saying we beat them. It's the preseason. Shut it up. Shut it up. This will be my final word. Shut it up, Laker fans. Shut it up, Bronsexuals. Until you beat them, A, in the regular season, or B, in the playoffs, shut up. Just plain shut up. For good. Because you've proven nothing to me, to this fan right here, to this broadcaster. You've proven not a doggone thing. Now, when the regular season starts and y'all slide out of the gate with everything that's happened, and you want to make excuses then and there, I'm gonna laugh. And the prediction I've said, if the Lakers win 35 games, I'll be surprised. They won 33 last year. I didn't even call for them to win 40 last year. I'm not calling for them to win 40 this year. Can I be proven wrong? Absolutely. And when that happens, I will say as such. But I just don't see it. That's my final word.
The Lakers did beat the Warriors yesterday, though, Snowman. I know it's preseason.
Preseason.
But they still scored 124 points on them.
Yeah, and they allowed 121. Next question.
Hey, man.
Next question.
I know when you look at this situation with Draymond Green, you definitely want to look past it. You definitely want to keep him on there. You, as a supporter of Dub City, I know you want to keep him in there because his defense is what's been great for you throughout his tenure with this team. Offensively, he's been trash. But when it comes to defense, he's been great, okay? However, sometimes you got to move on, and there's a lot of heat that he's been bringing in over the past year in certain areas, and this is definitely the biggest one. You cannot be having this type of turmoil in-house. And not only that, it's out for the public to see. This is different if it was in-house and they fixed it in-house.
And I'll say it again, which is the right thing the Warriors got pissed about. How the video got leaked to TMZ in the first place. Find the rat, get rid of the rat, handle it in-house, we move on. And Steph won't let them leave. Draymond should have known better and have more self-control. Absolutely. It's not the first time that happened. It won't be the last time that happened. But with him and Steph and Clay, he's not leaving. Take a few days, blow off some steam, calm down, come back, get ready to work. That's how I'm looking. That's how I'm looking at it. And that's how we're looking at the end of this edition of Snowman in the Morning Plus with Drew Willingham. He joins me every Monday during the 11 o'clock hour. Brother, I love you so much, and thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Love you too, man. Thank you again. It was definitely a blast talking sports with you on this Monday edition, and thank you out there to the fans in the chat as well.
Absolutely.
Got to give a shout out to Mr. McCoffey with his quotation right there. Snowman, can you throw that up real quick before we get out of here? We had more wins to the Yankees, and the way that he spelled that is definitely what's coming from the Mets today on this Monday edition.
I'm sad I missed Coffee with McCarthy this morning, but as I said, the body had to rest. I'm feeling better, and I'll be ready to roll tomorrow. This has been another exciting edition of Snowman in the Morning Plus with Drew Willingham. I'm the Snowman. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition. And what's going to happen, you'll have Snowman in the Morning from 8 to 10, and you'll have Snowman in the Morning Plus at 11:05 thereof, or time thereof, every day. We're getting this brand out there, and we're really going to make something of it. For Drew Willingham, this is the Snowman. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.